plural, comes from ta'am. Ta'am is a taste. This is what he asked. Yes, ta'am. 1 second. Ta'am is singular. Ta'am. Or ta'im is the delicacy. The ta'am is the taste. Taste. This is what he asks. Taste. Did I write it right in English? Taste. Yes. He asked for tasty, let's say, things to eat. Tasty mat'amim comes from ta'am. Ta'am is taste. And usually when we say taste, ta'am has the same letters of me'at. Me'at is opposite letters. If we rearrange the letters, it's little. Meaning, you see, it's the same letters. Ta'am is taste and me'at little. So he asks for tasty but little. Tasty but little, not much. Now, what was the question?
If it was also referred to both sweet and sour, and if it has anything to do with like the thought life and what you speak, like I always hear you say that when things come through us, then it's not always our thoughts, and so we should just let them, just let them go.
Yes.
You know, kind of like what happens if you're not at that point and you just say what you think, I guess. If it has like that sweet and sour, good and bad.
Okay, it's a very good start. So
Yeah.
let's take it. It seems that maybe I understand what you're trying to say, but let's start with another verse, with another story, and tell me if it's just arriving to what you're aiming. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In the question, just an idea. There is a verse in the Bible. Good morning, Cindy, Abigail. Good afternoon. We are very happy that you're here. So there is a verse in the Bible in Genesis that says, "And Adam and his wife were naked and they were not shamed." What is naked? This is the question. Everybody can participate. What is naked? Nude, naked. What does it mean? You can answer if you like in writing, in voice. Showing flesh, Abigail says, nothing to hide. This is it. Nothing to hide. Yes. 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 So Adam and Eve were naked and they were not shamed. They did not have any identity. This is the meaning of naked. Like you both wrote, nothing to hide. Yes. They had no identity. When, this is an open question, when in a child we can ask, there is a sense of shame, of embarrassment. When there's already a story, an identity. And this is what Jill asked, and I hope, and Jill, please pop and say if this is what you're aiming or this is what you ask in your question, because this is a very interesting and deep topic. Because if, let's say, there is no narration, and this is the meaning of being naked or nude, there is no narration, therefore there is nothing in a way to be embarrassed or to shame. Because if something arises, something comes and we raise our voice because something is happening, and then there's immediately a very fast thought that says, you should not raise your voice. It's not polite. People do not behave like this. It's not cultural. Yes, you are behind those things, raising your voice. So what does it mean that they were naked or nude and they were not ashamed? Whatever comes is coming, but it's not there. Because if something comes, arises in us, anger, thought, all kinds of things. And they're rising like which waves are rising in the sea. All the time something arises. If we identify with this rising, it doesn't matter, it's a thought, it's a sentiment. If we identify with what is coming in the moment as ourselves, immediately we shall try to hide it or feel shame or guilt or embarrassment. You should not raise your voice. You should not have this thought. But the thought is not ours. It's just what is moving in the river. And we are not the river. So what does it mean that Adam and Eve were expelled from the Garden of Eden? It means that, what does it mean in general? There's identity. There's identity, so it's in a way outside of the Garden of Eden. Because in the Garden of Eden, there is no identity. Whatever comes anger, appears. After one moment, it disappears. It's not mine. Somebody raises his voice, or I am raising my voice. There's like the bus stopped suddenly. Oh, something happened. Or I say, oh. So we're not in control. If there's like shock or something is happening, somebody's raising his voice and says something in a moment. It's not his saying or her comment. This is what is coming. But the narration says, she commented like this, he says like this. This is only a saying. What comes afterwards, this is the editing. The editing comes from the editor, which has already an identity, a story, a narration. So, if there's no identity and something rises, let's say, or comes to you, a thought, sentiment, memory, it's not yours. It just comes. Look at the river, for instance. If you look at the river while the river is streaming, now it's the end of the winter, so there's a lot of water. And if sometimes, good morning, Rodrigo, sometimes you look at the movement of the river, you see like branches moving on the face of the water. Sometimes you see dry leaves. Sometimes you see somebody forgot a ribbon, or pacifier babies when they take a walk and suddenly you see toys are moving on the water. Somebody forgot them. It is the same thing. It's not ours. The thoughts, the sentiments, the behavior, the comment. Let's say we are attending certain meeting and people exchanging words in a meeting, in association, somewhere around a table, in a coffee house, or in, let's say, an office. Somebody says something. There's, let's say, meeting of lawyers or engineers. Somebody says something. There's another comment. Da, 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 da. So there is discussion, but it's not private discussion. It's about the topic. If, let's say, engineer A says da 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 da, engineer B says da 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 da, but what we do when we go home, it becomes a private story. He says this and I said something against, and there's a fight. But it's not. It's just what happens in the moment. Everything is happening in the moment. So if we go, and this is what happens in a way in the model in the brain is just a model. Yes, the narration is just a model imitation to life. And the brain is a virtual reality that offers us all the time. Yes? Identities. There isn't. But we happily adopt it. And in identities, we have doers, we have thinkers, and so on. Yes. Good morning, Rodrigo. We are very happy to see you here.
Hello, Eti. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. How do you do?
Oh, I'm fine, Eti. I just opened my microphone. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Abigail and Cindy. Just to say that Fernando is here in my house with the twins, and he is here. He listened to you right now. And just to share with you and our friends that, well, you know that Lisiane is pregnant and she will deliver probably today or tomorrow. So we are here. We are happy, just happy with friends, sharing this moment and listen to you and to our friends, and just to say hello and to say that we have a beautiful community here that love to be with you and with our friends and listen to you and talk with you. And it's amazing time, and we are living a great time here with the twins and the how can I say, the belly of Lisiane, and Joaquin is here also. We are very grateful to be here. We are very grateful to be here together. And
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much. Fernando and Joaquin, they are laughing because my English is so terrible. So they listen to me speaking English, and sorry, Eti, but I just want to share this message with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're so happy that you are together and we are all listening to each other. And good luck with the labor and easy labor and really calm process and coming. Thank you so much. So, Jill, did you, this example answered somehow the question?
Yes, yes, it helped me get a little bit more understanding. Yeah. I guess I just was thinking about, um, like I said, is if there's a difference when this stuff comes to us, if if we speak it out, or if we speak it out, what are we doing, to ourselves or to the world if we speak out something that, we probably shouldn't have even entertained in our thought.
It just comes. And there's a beautiful saying by Schopenhauer. He says, we can do what we want, but, but we cannot will what we want. We can do what we want, but we cannot will what we want. If something comes to and wants to rise through someone, it will rise and it will be spoken. If something happens in the moment and a speech comes, it comes out in the moment. There is no control on it. It comes from the emptiness. Unless you are asking about something else, that you would like to say something and you hold up what you would like to say. This is something else, like a thought that you would like to say for a long time, but you don't say it, unless if you speak about that. So let's go back to the story of the garden. And Adam and Eve, and Adam and his wife were nude or naked, and they were not shamed. We ask, what does it mean to be nude, to be naked, without identity? What does it mean without identity, without narration, without a story? So, and what does it mean, whatever comes, if somebody's hicks up, how do you say, sometimes we have hiccups, yes? So we don't say that we are sorry. This is what comes in the moment. We don't try to hide it. So this is a completely free life, because whatever happens, happens in the moment. There is no attachment. Nobody tries to cover it, to disguise it, to say that it is not. But what happens when there is a narration and someone is defined by name and so and a story, and something arises in the moment and it doesn't fit this narration, comes also embarrassment and shame and needs to cover. So what does it mean that Adam and his wife were naked and they were not shamed? They were living without narration, without a story, without any concept. But immediately we follow the Bible, and then comes the serpent and say, yes, I will offer you a concept. But this is the meaning of like life in the moment without attachment to anything, without storytelling, without the need to hide, to feel sorry, for embarrassment. Sometimes the weather changed so fast, like last night, and there's like what suddenly how to say, the sunset, and it immediately got very cold, and it was like cold and warm at the same time. The setting the table, it just everything was moving. And you prepare dinner and you would like to sit, but this is what happens in the moment. We have no control on the moment. We can prepare, set the table, and suddenly comes something like it. Just, I cannot say that because of the movement of the sunset there isn't any, but there's a great change, and it moves through us. But you can say, but I prepared the dinner and ta 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 ta, but it comes in the it doesn't matter, because we're not the makers. We are not just something that moves, like this leaf moves, or the stick or the branch moves in the river while the river is flowing. Nothing that happens in our lives is a private story. It's just what happens moves. And we don't need to, there is no need to be ashamed in it, or to justify it, or to say that we are sorry, or to be embarrassment. This is not a private story. Life is not a private story. The tree, the bee, humans, the sun, the moon, Mars, Venus, and so Saturn, Neptune, those are not private things. Life is all. But what happens is that we sometimes take this snapshot and we say, this is my life. This is what happens to me, and I need to promote myself. There isn't any myself. There isn't any my in the world. There isn't any my, and there isn't any self. And of course, there isn't myself. There isn't. This is just a manner of speaking. Jill, did we answer the question? Did we? Yes?
I think so. I think so. I got a lot of understanding. I think it's all tied in with what you said, with the assuming that that's an identity, and how once you kind of take on that identity, then all of a sudden you feel like you have to fulfill whatever it brings with it. And so, yeah,
Excellent.
I got a lot
Excellent.
of understanding.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes. There is no identity. Okay, we turn to each other by names, but with the names comes the identity. Ta, 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 ta. But there, for life, there is no identity. There is no identity. It's just a fake up story. It's funny. What should I say? Just a fake up. Just yes. Cindy is asking, do we think there was a desire in Eve, in us, prior to the serpent? There's only life, but comes the serpent is basically the development of the brain that offers us that I can circle everything, I can contain everything in this story, in this frame, in this concept. This is how the brain works. Yes, this is how it is. It is built like this. From the beginning, we cannot do anything. This is how it built. But this is not life is not a private story of anyone. It's not a private story of the tree, of the dolphin, of the sea, of the mountain, of the clouds. There isn't any private cloud. There isn't any private me. There isn't. This is just life. And this is quite, in a way, relieving message. Relieving because, like Jill says, if there's an identity, as an identity, there are expectations. Yes? What does it mean? He has or she has to do A, B, C, D to achieve tac, 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 because this image or this identity is the one who has to have or has to live life as those things are happening. to her, to him, otherwise there is no life. But this is not so. And from this comes a lot of pressure because it's a lie. Live life according to false identity. There isn't any identity. Nobody has any identity. This is just a story. This is just a story. So now, if someone tells himself that as, let's say, Kate, I have to be tack, 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 this Kate figure or whatever will suffer because she is living or orient her life around something which is not there, around fallacy. Yes, and this brings suffering, not life. If somebody bangs the leg against the table, okay, pain in the moment, but the, how do you say, the suffering comes from the story that I don't stand up into these expectations of this identity. There isn't any identity. There isn't. And there wasn't, there isn't, and there will never be an identity. It's very simple. Yes, Abigail? So why the leaves were replaced by animal skin as covering from God? Is there any significance for the... Yes. Yes. What are the leaves? What are the leaves? Yes, development. Yes. Yes. This is a cover story. The cover story, because what is written in the Bible, people take over. People, literally. This is a cover story. You see in the movies, when we focus in a movie and we see different characters, they have different motivation. They suddenly they meet in university in the city, but we don't know where they're coming from or what is the backstory, what motivates them to come to this city, to this university, because something is happening there. But slowly, how the plot goes or the movie plot goes, we have the camera moves and suddenly we see where they're coming from. This is, so to speak, the backstory. A leaf is just a cover. Yes? Once there is an identity, any kind of identity, comes a judgment of this identity, what this identity should or should not do, or behave or should not behave, or what will happen to this identity or not happen according to our, let's say, vague idea. And when it doesn't go, there's like, we have to hide it, we have to plaster it. Because this identity, this figure that we imagine, does not behave, so we need to put plasters around it. Yes? But it doesn't exist. Yes. Yes. Very, very, very well, Cindy, very well. Very well. This does not exist. I just read today that less and less people in Europe see themselves as Christians. It was an interesting study because it's interesting. It's not so much about the religion of being Christian, it's about the... So Christianity is also basically the face of the modern state. So people less identify themselves, not just with religion, but with the modern state, because it's very rigid. Identity. It is very, very interesting when people adopt themselves any kind of identity. It is like they put themselves into concrete and there is no life there. Nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. Nothing can move. People cannot move from country to country. They cannot live with the people that they are friends with and so on. This is so sad. This is so, so sad. Identity is something that does not exist. And it is interesting because in the ancient Egypt, we find, and this is a beautiful thing, people were mummified to keep, in a way, their plastic image or so. Like if the body has some kind of relevance. You see how ancient it is, the sense of identity, of plastic image, how strong it is. How strong it is. But the body itself does not originate life or generate life. No, it's not. We tend to grasp ourselves as those bodies, and the body has a name, and this is no. This is what the brain does. Take all kinds of pictures, visualizations, yes, and connects them together into a story and offer us this as a dish. Yes? It says, eat it. This is the tree of knowledge, by the way. The brain. Duality. Eat it. This is who you are. Nourish yourself from this. But God said to Adam and Eve, the day you will eat from this identity tree, you shall die. But the English says, this is beautiful, because the English translation is saying you shall die. In Hebrew, it's harder. He says, mot tamut, twice. In English, it says, you shall die. If you shall eat from the tree of knowledge, you shall die. In Hebrew, mot tamut, die, you shall die, you shall die. What does it mean? Not just once. It's horrible in Hebrew, but it's more accurate. Every time you eat from this bullshit, from this dish called identity, you are dead meat. Meaning, we don't eat from this dish called identity once. Every moment we eat from this, and every moment there's a death. Do you understand? The tree of knowledge, yes, is self-identity. If you eat from this dish, this is what happens all the time. It's not if. This is what happens all the time. All the time, every moment, from waking up in the morning, oh, well, okay, cold, warm, whatever, summer, winter, cold, coffee, whatever, tuck. Okay, you're on. Where do you live? Tuck, tuck, tuck. It runs. It runs. Yes, and we eat from this. And the moment we eat from this, what we accept it as absolute truth, there's this. This is what the Bible says in Hebrew, mot tamut. Not just the moment that you eat this shit of self-identity, but every time, because it's happening constantly. Constantly, there's death. When we eat this shit, sorry for speak like this, but have to make it clear. Yeah, see the truth. Whenever we eat this dish, self-identity, there's a death in it. Because what does this offer to us? Let's open it. What is to eat from this dish called self-identity? What identity does? It's being appearing here. It's, so to speak, being born to parents. So there is suggestion that we are suddenly appear. Yes? And there's a story. And if we are this story, no, we are not this story. We are not a story, and we're not history. We're not story, and we are not history. None of these. It's very simple. Just don't eat from this tree. This tree will offer us all the time this identity story. But what is the antidote? What is the antidote? To sit with friends like this and to speak the truth. This is not the tree of knowledge. It's not a binary system. It's opposite. It negates the binary system. It's non-two, non-duality. The brain is capable of processing information because the brain belongs to a body that appears in time and space. So the conditional is already set. And the brain, as a beautiful waitress or a steward, will always offer us this beautiful dish. Eat this shit. This is your identity. Don't. And if the moment it's a noise, close this radio, tune it off, and just, okay, the same noise again and again. Like a party that you don't want to participate in. Party. Let's part of the thing. This is only. There is no need to eat from this self-identity. It's not just bitter, it's just death in the moment. Because it narrows out down to this story. It's a fake, it's a lie, it does not exist. It narrows all the options because everything is open all the time to everyone. Everything is open to all. So there is no need to be ashamed in anything that, or to be embarrassed. I asked today, but why there's embarrassment? Yes. This is what the brain says. You feel embarrassed because there are two. Yes. Embarrassment, we can ask or say embarrassment from what? Or from who? Because why? It's not why we feel embarrassment, but what is the notion of embarrassment? Let's open it. From something. There is something is happening and there's reaction to what is happening. It's embarrassment. So there is no way to. So if there is a sense of embarrassment that rises, it means already there's a division. So there is no need to shame in anything. Everything is like life. Sometimes we raise our voices. Sometimes people stuck in the elevator. Sometimes the cat is coming from the window in a hot summer day. Everything can happen all the time. And it's not private happening of a character or a figure. There isn't. There isn't. This is just life as a flow, as it comes. This is it. But the brain immediately comes and says, but yesterday, you worked in university. And what will you do now? Yes, but yesterday, yes, You used to teach in those like settlements next to the border, But what now? This is what it does. Because the brain will offer us always the two poles. Yesterday you did it, meaning past, and the brain will say, and tomorrow. This is the split. This is the tree of knowledge. But yesterday and today is different. And tomorrow, this is what it does. Always like this split to pull us to the extreme. Yesterday and tomorrow, never this moment. Never this moment. It's quite simple. Any questions? Rodrigo, Cindy, Abigail, Jill, friends that are listening, Joaquin, Fernando, the twins. What was the question that you were asking in the beginning regarding Isaac's speech to Esau? from the book of Zohar? What was the context that the question was asked? If you can return to it.
I was asking if when he was asking for something to be like a delicacy,
Yes.
if it was sweet mixed with edgy, and if that had to do with like our thoughts. Um, and and I was just kind of wondering if it did, then how would that relate to us, I guess. It was
Quite
just a
interesting.
thought.
It's very good because the word is mat'amim, plural. The single form is ta'am, is taste. And they speak in the Hebrew about delicacies of the mind, like refined concepts, so to speak, of wisdom. Yes, this is
Thank
it.
you.
You're
That
most welcome.
makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're most welcome. This is why it says that he liked Esau, that they have common, like the likeness of, they liked wisdom. It's very interesting because there's like in a way two pairs in the family. Uh, Isaac loves Esau and Rebecca loves Jacob. So it's the wisdom. Yes, delicacies of wisdom. Question, Cindy, Rodrigo, Abigail. Yes, Abigail.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon. How do you
Good
do?
afternoon. How do you do, Etty?
Happy to hear you.
Etty, happy to see you and to hear you, and I love the conversation. But Etty, I need clarification about I chanced upon uh, a part in the roots of the Bible, the where Joseph and Judah. I think there was this comparison about Joseph's children, as the Manasseh and Manasseh and
Ephraim. Menashe and Ephraim.
Manasseh and uh, like Joseph's Ephraim and Manasseh, and then Judah's sons with Tamar, Perez, and Zerah. There was this comparison, and they said Joseph had the kids with Potiphar's wife, and I just need clarification. Is it true?
Again, can you repeat again? I would like to again. Joseph has
Okay,
two
so
children. Yes?
two children, that is Ephraim and Manasseh, and then Judah had children with Tamar
Yes,
as Perez and I
yes.
think the book was trying to say link it that Joseph had these kids with Potiphar's wife. Is that true? Did I read right?
With Osnat, they were adopting a daughter. Yes? Potiphar and his wife, yes, were adopting a daughter, a child. Her name was Osnat, and she
Okay.
was Joseph's wife, the mother of Ephraim and Menashe.
Oh,
Ag-
okay.
Again, okay? So
Okay.
Potiphar
Okay.
and his
Okay.
wife, yes, were adopting a daughter. They had adopted a daughter, yes,
Okay.
and
Okay.
she was further. I mean, later in the story, became Joseph's wife, yes, and she was the mother of Ephraim and Menashe. And this
Oh,
daughter, this is interesting story. Her name was Osnat. Osnat. She was the daughter. It's a fruit. Yes, this daughter is a fruit. She came as a consequence of Dinah's story. You remember Dinah's story in Shechem, in the city of Shechem? Jacob had one daughter. You remember the story in Genesis? Jacob had
Oh,
12 sons and one daughter, and they were
Dinah.
Dinah. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And she was taken. She was taken against her will,
Yes.
and she was conceived in this taken. She was conceived with a daughter, and when the daughter was born, she was named in Hebrew Osnat. Osnat. It comes from disaster, Ason. It holds the letter of Ason. Ason is a disaster, and also rape, Onis. So the letters of her name contains what happens, which is both disaster, Ason, and Onis. This is the rape that Dinah was due to. So
Oh,
yes,
that's very, very interesting.
and this child somehow Jacob wrote her a little amulet. How do you say, a little pocket with blessing, and wrote her a blessing, and the blessing was around her neck. And from shame and calamity, Dinah was pregnant with this fruit of rape. So who will take her? So her brother uh, Simon took her to live with his family, because no, it's like the stories, the calamity, so to speak. And somehow Osnat, through fate, also found herself in Egypt, but she was renamed, and she grew as adopted child in the house of Potiphar and his wife. And the time of Joseph came to be wed, and she was offered to him. At the beginning, he did not know, thought she is Egyptian, like princess, or. But she has this amulet, this blessing that Jacob wrote her. Jacob is, so to speak, her grandfather. And Joseph could see from the what is written in the amulet that she is basically the daughter of his sister, Dinah. So this is Osnat, yes, wife of Joseph, that delivered Menashe and Ephraim. If this is the question that you're asking.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I needed clarity on that. So it means they are related anyway. So
They
like
are
incest.
related. Yes, like his niece. Yes, very well. Yes.
Oh
Yes,
my
that
God.
yes. Yes. This is the story. This is how it
I
goes.
see.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
most
you.
welcome. I'm so happy that you asked question about the book.
Mm.
Thank you. Any questions, Rodrigo, Cindy, Jill, friends, Fernando, Joaquim? It is interesting because Roots of the Bible, as opposed to what we think that it's a story about people, so to speak, generation, it's not about this at all. Through the names, something else is going on. It's not about the names that people tend to read the Bible. I saw this also in synagogues, tend to read the Bible and they speak on the behalf of the characters, like if they were characters. It's about themselves, how they offer it in synagogue. I heard it like on stage, the theater, Hamlet, in the Bible, Shakespeare. Yeah, it's not about that. It's not a show, and it's not a theater. It's not about that at all. This is what life is. So you see, there is no, though there is a description of seemingly an order or pattern, it's not a private story. Something else is going on all the time.
Etty,
Yes, Jill.
I was just going to say that it's interesting when you say that because that means that um, they had no identities as well. And
Yes,
so when we look at the fact that we have to um, not like assume an identity that none of them would either.
yes,
I just found it interesting.
yes. It is interesting because you see, there's all the time like a changing of names in the Bible. There's changing of names. Sarai becomes Sarah. Yes. So Sarai in 3 letters is also shir, song or a poem or a chant. And this is infinite. But when she's supposed to become a mother and to deliver according to this, what is happening, she is Sarah. Therefore, the Bible says, yes, Vatamat Sarah. Sarah dies with hay. What delivers the baby in a way dies, but not the song, not Sarai as infinite. Therefore, we find many, many times changing of names. There is no identity. Jacob becomes Israel. This duality becomes non-duality. Israel is on the name of non-duality, basically. Because Jacob, Yaakov, comes from the heel. He is, yes, Jill? Jacob is being called after holding his brother's heel in the womb. Akev is heel. So he shall, because we are following somebody else's heels or footsteps. So he was named Yaakov. He shall follow the heel, so to speak. And heels, there are two. So he was named upon the two, plus there were twins. So he is the second, in a way, twin, named after the heel, which are two. He is the 22nd generation from Adam and Eve. Many, many twos. He marries two sisters, two wives, and he's been wed also to their two maids. Everything is two, 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 until he has this struggle, so to speak. In the River book, in which there's, after the struggle, it's known to, non-duality, and the name is Israel upon known to. Yes, also the name Israel carries the same letters like Sarai, yes, which is known to. This is known to. Yashar, it's known to. It's not crooked, it's not, it's just known to. It's very interesting. Joseph is later in the Bible, gets additional hay. He he he's been called Yehoseph with hay, Yehoseph, Jehoshaphat, yes. And Yeshua is being called Yehoshua later. So we find there is no identity, there's all the time motion and movement. Yeah, Rodrigo, any other questions? With this beautiful session, I would like to thank each and every one of you for participating here. Wish you an easy birth, like flow, with a lot of chanting. And see you here soon, as soon as possible. Happy season to all, beautiful life. All the best.